Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Guy's Home Kitchen. Tonight we're cooking one of my favorite recipes, my own personal recipe, Emilia's risotto with truffle cream sauce, which is inspired by a recent trip of mine to Italy in the Emilia-Romagna region, where we dove pretty far deep into prosciutto and Parmigiano Reggiano, so that's incorporated. We have Mascarpone Cheese, we've got onions and shallots. I'm gonna go over all that with you. And tonight we're gonna cook an awesome risotto. The problem with risotto when you're out at restaurants is that there's a lot of shortcuts taken, so you typically can't find a really great risotto. And I'll show you a tip. I'll tell you a tip later when you're out in a restaurant and you want to order risotto, what to ask to make sure if you're gonna get a good one or not. But without further ado, let's get saucy. Okay, so we're gonna start by going over all the ingredients. Up here we got shallots, onions, Parmigiano Reggiano, Pino Grigio. We have Arborio rice, Mascarpone cheese, egg yolk, chive, garlic, prosciutto, pancetta. Okay, the prosciutto, this is my favorite, probably my favorite thing. Prosciutto is looks like this. It's a leg quarter of the pig, and it's aged for a really long time, 18 months plus. This is Prosciutto di Parma, so this is only allowed to be grown in a certain region within Emilia-Romagna, but it's my favorite. I'm gonna eat it, I'm gonna like it. All right, so to start, we got chicken stock and heavy cream too. So to start, I'm gonna move all the ingredients I'm gonna need for the truffle sauce over out of the way. Okay, and heavy cream. And then we'll get everything else out of the way. And we're going to start first by cutting the pancetta because we got to get that in the stove first. If you're at home cooking along with me right now, I know there's some of you, why don't you go ahead and comment in the comment section and let everybody know what you're doing and that you're going along. So to prep the pancetta, we're going to cut it in about a 1/4 inch or so thick piece. Okay, and then I'm going to take it and we're going to cube it. Okay, so this is going to serve as the base of our risotto flavor, because what we're going to do right now, actually, you know what? Let me get this in here too. This is about a pound of pancetta. I'm going to render it all down, and we're going to cook this pancetta actually 2 different ways. One, half of it's going to be for actually in the rice, and the other half is going to be for a dusting for later. So right now I'm going to take this and just drop it in a pan. Now it's important with pancetta that you put it in a cold pan and then you turn it on, because you want to render out the fat. If you throw it into a high pan right away, you're gonna almost cook like it would be like bacon and get it crispy. We're just trying to render out the fat right now and cook it down and get it all meaty. So we're gonna cook it over about a medium-high heat and let that go. Okay. While that cooks, we are going to finish prepping over here. So I have shallots, and basically you just want to chop the shallots just like this. Just like that. Okay. Ooh, I don't know if you guys could hear that pancetta going, but it's starting to go. Okay, let me get close. Ready? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good sound. Okay, so there's our rest of our scallions. I'm actually only going to use half an onion tonight, so I don't need to do anything with this. I'll save that for another day. This shallot actually is going to be used for our truffle. This shallot is actually going to be used for our truffle cream sauce, so I'm going to keep it over here for the sauce. And then I'm going to chop the garlic. If you guys got any questions along the way, feel free to ask what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, anything. What's my favorite color? I don't know. Whatever you want. Okay, so this is going to go in later. So what's going to happen is once this pancetta renders down, we're going to remove half of it and keep the other half in and let it continue cooking. And then we're going to remove all of it and soften up our onions, our shallots. So let's let that go. Okay, so while we wait for that, I actually... What? Oh. While we're waiting, I wanted to actually tell you about rice for risotto. If you're cooking along, you're going to see I recommended Arborio rice. The reason for that is, one, it's more than a doable rice for risotto. It's the most common rice and it's readily available. This, I always have trouble pronouncing this, is Carnaroli, which is like the Cadillac of rice for risotto. And the reason for that is because of how the grain structure is. And what it does is it produces a grain that doesn't cook as fast as Arborio. So you get a better grain structure. And also it has more starch content. So I'll explain why that's important later. You still have a question?
Carol asked, what's the difference between shallot and an onion?
Okay, so basically a shallot is an in-betweener of garlic and onion. That's the easiest way to kind of figure it out. I think it gives a really good flavor. It smells like onion and garlic at the same time. And I love to use it in sauces. So like if I'm going to make a linguine with white clam sauce, I'll use shallots all day long. But for today, I'm actually using the trio, shallots, garlic, and onion.
Do you have oil in that pan?
No oil in the pan. The reason I don't have oil in the pan is because I gotta lower this, I think. It's because I'm pulling out, I'm not frying yet the pancetta. I'm just pulling out the grease from, the fat from the pancetta. So went into a dry, cold pan. So we begin rendering out this fat. You can see there's a little fat starting to render out. But we gotta let that keep going. Man, it's starting to smell good. So I'm actually cooking the Cadillac of the rices tonight, just because you can find this on Amazon. It's basically the same price as this. This is 2 pounds. Well, I guess it's double. So this is about $8 in the local grocery store. This is $15 on Amazon. Worth every penny though.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is green. Also, here's an important chef tip. Whenever you're cooking something and you're using wine, you're always going to want to taste it before. Yeah, that fits. You can't do that in a restaurant, but you can do it at home all day long. Right there. I'm using a Pino Grigio, if I didn't say it before. Also, this is Mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone cheese is kind of like Italian cream cheese. It's probably the most misunderstood and underappreciated soft cheeses like cream cheese, but it gives a really nice cut to the fats that are going to go in, because this is going to be a very rich dish. I mean, we got natural creaminess from the starch from the rice, then we're going to add Parmigiano Reggiano, we're going to add mascarpone, plus we got a truffle cream sauce for on top. Go ahead.
What knife set do you use?
Okay, this is a Dalstrong knife set. It's good. It's not high end, it's not low end, but it is a complete set. And I've actually only had this for about 6 months, but I'm really enjoying it. Okay, while this is rendering too, I forgot we need to start getting the chicken stock or broth whatever you're using, warm. You don't really want to boil it, but you do want to get it warm. If it does start to boil, just lower it, no big deal. Now, the reason we need to get this warm is because we're actually going to add chicken broth to the rice about a half a cup at a time. And if you put cold liquid into a warm dish, you bring down the temperature, so your cook is going to go like this, and it's not going to be consistent or anything. Okay, it's starting to come along. Yeah, I wish you guys could smell this. So next week I'm actually doing spaghetti carbonara, an authentic recipe, very traditional from Rome. And that recipe calls for guanciale. And guanciale is the cheek of the pig, cured cheek pig basically, where pancetta is the pork belly. So it's the same piece of meat that is bacon, except it's just not smoked. It's rolled up and cured, but not smoked. You can use bacon as a substitute for this. I don't really recommend it because bacon is smoked, so you're going to introduce a new flavor. That's not something you want. But look, I want to show you this. See all that fat down there? Is that coming through? Is that fat coming through? So all that is what we're actually going to use to add flavor to the rice. Okay. Let that go. Okay, I think I get everything prepped. Oh, you know what I'll do? Let me walk you through a quick, cool tutorial. Sometimes I don't know if you saw in some of my pictures, I made a rose out of prosciutto, which looks really fancy and cool and makes for a great presentation, which I'm going to use to finish the dish, but it's actually really easy to do. So you basically take the fat line on the outside. Is my hand low enough? You take the fat line on the outside and you roll it around your finger, just like this. Okay, it doesn't have to be super tight, but just get it around. So now you get the base of the little rose there, and then you just open up the petals a little bit, and you got yourself a nice little rose. Yes?
Is the pancetta on medium or low?
I'm on about a medium heat. Medium, I would say. I mean, that's high for me, so it's about medium. And once it gets going like this, it's going to render out much more quickly. Oh man, I'm excited for this one. I'm excited. Hey, once Corona's over, I'm going to be inviting people over as special live guests. And if you're interested in that, the way to get on the list is to message me on Guys Home Kitchen through Facebook and just say, hey, I'm interested in being a guest, and I'll add you to the list, and I'll let you know once we start doing that, because I want to share this with as many people as possible. And, sharing the process and the techniques and the secrets is one thing, but sharing the taste is a whole nother level. So right now my son Vito gets to reap the reward to that, but actually this is actually going to be our entire family dinners tonight. So the recipe I included in this video is about 1.5 cups of rice. That's enough to feed a family of 4. If you want it for yourself, just do 1/2 cup. And basically it's 2 cups of liquid, in this case chicken stock, to 1/2 cup of rice, Arborio rice, like rice for risotto. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get a plate. Because right now I'm going to remove half of this. I want to take out half of this right about now, because it's still a little meaty. So this is the half that's going to actually go back in once we actually start mixing the rice. And this is when we continue to cook. I'm going to actually raise the flame up because I want this to start getting really crispy now. Now I'm trying to turn it into bacon. If you ever had really, really crispy bacon and it kind of just, breaks into a dust of bacon bits, that's what I'm going for right here, because I'm going to use that to dust the plate once we're all done to bring out that flavor of the pancetta in every piece of bite, plus makes for a hell of a presentation. Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead and hit me with some questions.
There's a lot of people interested in being a guest.
Oh yeah? Well, that's exciting. I got space for 4, so we'll be doing four guests at a time, whenever that's possible, hopefully pretty soon. And actually what I'll do is I'll ask you for this. Who's ever watching right now, one of the ways Facebook kind of helps spread the word out is based on how many people comment on the live videos and like the live videos and the likes and the hearts and the shares of the live videos. So now would be a great time to go ahead and like this video, share this video on your Facebook feed, and let your friends know what's going on. Maybe they want to join in this time. And if you are just joining in, we're cooking Emilia's risotto with a truffle cream sauce for dinner tonight. You guys see how that's starting to render down and starting to look like bacon a little bit? I'm going to want a separate bowl for this. If you are cooking at home, go ahead and get your ladle handy. We are going to need this to spoon, oops, got some water in there. Spoon in the warm broth here. So you're going to need that. Yeah, question?
Okay, so we're trying to help out people who are petrified of cooking.
Okay.
So how do people who are petrified of cooking know when things are done? Do you have recommended times for each of these steps and the heat level?
Okay, that's a pretty detailed question. The heat level really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So in the beginning, we just want to render out the fat and get this pancetta soft and meaty like this, right? Man, that's good. So I had it on medium to medium low heat. Now I'm trying to make this really crispy, so I raise the heat up. So because I'm trying to make this crispy, I raise the heat up to accomplish that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I just gotta turn the thing on. Okay, I'm gonna take this out. So what we're gonna do after this type of pancetta comes out, we're gonna add the rice. I mean, we're not gonna add the rice. We're gonna add all the onions and shallots, garlic. This pan's pretty hot, so I'm going to throw shallots in there first because they can handle that. Actually, turn the flame off because it's so hot. I'm gonna add the onions. Okay. I haven't added any salt yet because a lot of the things we're cooking tonight are salty. So the pancetta is really salty, prosciutto is salty, the Parmigiano Reggiano is salty. So I'm going to wait for later to test that out and see what we can use salt. Emilia is half of the Emilia-Romagna region. So it used to be 2 separate regions, Emilia and Romagna. And then, I don't know when, I'm sure you can Google it, but at some point they formed one region of Italy, which basically includes cities like Parma, Bologna, Modena. I mean, those 3 cities alone are like food havens. Like the food in Emilia-Romagna is, you can't compete with that. So what we're doing right now is sauteing the onions and shallots a little bit right now. And what I'm trying to do is just get them translucent a little bit and soft. I'm not trying to form much color because, risotto is a very white dish. So any color you add to it, you're going to see. And the only thing I want people to see when this is finished is the pancetta in the rice mixture. Okay? So let me go ahead and add the garlic now. Garlic in. So this step right here is an important step, not the garlic, but this whole thing, because this is basically, you can make risotto with any flavors. I mean, there's mushroom risottos, there's saffron, and I mean, you do whatever you want, really. But whatever you do here is basically going to be the base of the flavor for the rest of the risotto. So it's really important that you get really good and the right ingredients at this point. Okay, once we're about there, I'm going to make sure we're on medium heat. I'm going to add the rice. So this is 1.5 cups of, shoot, how do I say this name again? Carnaroli rice. If you have Arborio, which is probably what everybody has, I've used it all the time, use that. And what we're doing right now is this first step is to get the rice translucent. So if you've cooked anything, you've probably heard the word translucent before. It's a tricky word because you're not actually making it see-through. You're just trying to turn it from white to kind of like clearish type of grain. No different, exactly the same as actually if you ever got oil on a piece of paper before, you know that paper all of a sudden becomes almost see-through, or some people call that translucent, and it's because the oil that now got incorporated into the fat made that appear that way, and that's exactly what's going on right now. Like this rice just is absorbing the oil. Okay, so all the flavor that we just created is now going into the rice, which is exactly what you want. We're not looking to brown the rice, okay? So make sure you don't brown the rice. But we are looking to just get it translucent. Now, another fair warning about risotto. Basically, once you get to this stage, you really can't walk away from the pan because it's very, I guess, high maintenance from that perspective. But you're constantly mixing, okay? And once this gets a little bit more translucent, we're going to go ahead and add the wine. About 1/2 cup of wine, a little more if you want. It's not going to hurt it. If you're just tuning in, I'm in the middle of making Emilia's risotto with a truffle cream sauce, which incorporates some of the famous ingredients from the Emilia-Romagna region. Okay. Okay, time for the wine, about 1/2 cup. So every step is basically 1/2 cup of liquid, and what we're trying to do is slowly incorporate the liquid into the rice. And the reason for that is because you don't want a mushy rice. You want a rice that slowly gets done, and in this process, every time you add a little bit more liquid, it releases the starch a little bit. And every time it's absorbed, which is like now, I don't see any liquid, time to add 1/2 cup of broth. Okay? I understand there's another question. I'll get to that in a second. In the beginning, this rice is going to get absorbed quickly by water, by your liquids. However, after 3 or 4, maybe 5 spoonfuls in, you're going to notice it's going to take a little bit longer, but you just basically want to constantly stir. Okay, and the best way I like to check to see if it's been absorbed is to pull it back, and if it folds in quickly, it's not absorbed. If it kind of holds for a second, then it is absorbed and ready for more liquid, like that. It's exactly what you're looking for. I'm gonna add another one. My ladle has measuring cups on it, so this first line is 1/4 cup. This other line is 1/2 cup. It's very useful when making things, especially risotto. If not, just eyeball. It doesn't have to be precise. You know, if you're a little under, a little over quart, or half a cup, that's totally fine. But you just don't want to dump it all in at once for sure. You just want to go in slow increments. I think now, I don't know if you guys see this, but the starch is already starting to come out, which is fantastic. And we're just constantly stirring. There's a question?
Do you have to use wine?
You don't have to. I mean, it's part of, if you don't like wine or allergic or anything like that, don't have it, you can certainly go ahead and make it without the wine. It just adds another level. But if you make the same exact recipe without the wine, you're still gonna be in for a special treat. So let's do the test. Pull it back. Doesn't fold right away. So time for another one. So I got 6 cups of broth in there, and we're doing a half a cup at a time to get this rice cooked. So the goal, what you're looking for is an al dente rice. You don't want it undercooked, obviously. It'd be really hard to chew. But you don't want it soggy. Like if you ever had like really overcooked soggy rice and it's just mush, like you definitely don't want that either. So as we get lower, you definitely want to start, I'm starting to boil, so I'm going to lower that. When we get closer to the end here, you're going to want to sample it to see where it's at, because, you know, someone asked earlier, like, how do you know, what temperature and stuff, but also when it's done and things like that. Well, you're just going to have to start cooking. And every time you cook, you learn something. You learn, hey, I let that go too long, so I'm not going to let that. Next time I cook that or that thing, I'm not going to let that go that long. Or, you know, you just got to do it, you know, and develop a feel for it. But this is what makes risotto creamy right here. We are going to add mascarpone and Parmigiano Reggiano, which will also add to the creaminess, but we're adding that mostly for flavor, not necessarily for creaminess. Now would be a good time to add back in the pork, the pancetta we were reserving before this gets too thick. And it's time for another one. We are going to make that truffle cream sauce later, so I do have another pan out here for that. So if you are cooking at home, make sure you got a second pan ready, because once this is done, we're actually going to leave it in here while we cook the sauce. You also notice the volume's starting to pick up too. And when I first added a cup and a half, it didn't look like much, but now this is starting to take shape. By the time we're done with this is going to be almost full, this whole pan. This is a 12-inch pan. Just to give you an idea. So where are you all watching from tonight? Go ahead and let me know. What city are you viewing from tonight? Okay, you see how this is starting to slow down, and it's not passing the test as quickly. So this is where we go. This is, there's a couple of reasons why restaurants don't really make this, and if they do, they don't make it well. Primary reason, if you're going to do it right, this is how you do it right. And if you notice, you have a chef standing over the dish, one dish, the entire time. So it's very costly to make. And it's also time intensive. I mean, we're about a half hour in. We're probably going to utilize, almost a full hour tonight. So one more ladle right about now. And as I add that ladle, I want to let everybody know who's watching that we are joined by a very special friend of mine, Alan Venezio. He is the 5-foot-high trumpet guy. And every Friday night, he puts on his living room jazz, which actually we've been watching. Our whole family has been watching since this whole thing started. And it helped us tremendously enjoy our Friday nights. So we turned that on. What you're probably hearing right now is his music. It's one of his featured tracks on his new release this month that he just announced. So if you can, go ahead and like Alan's page and next Friday at 8 p.m. Go ahead and tune in. And if anybody, Alan, if you're there watching, go ahead and drop the link into your page so people could get you easily. All right, now let's get back to being saucy. So this is still going. And we're going. This is a carbon steel pan by a company called Made In, which is a company that was started by a chef out of Chicago from a restaurant in Alinea, which is a Michelin level restaurant. You know, it's one of those 13-course experiences. But he started his own line and has designed it. He's basically made a consumer level pan that also chefs use, and he uses in all of his kitchens too. So he uses what he makes, which is nice. Okay, we're almost there. I would say that's absorbed. Here we go again. I don't know how many this is yet, but it looks like I got about another cup of liquid left, maybe a cup and a half. What do you guys think so far? You liking what you see? Let me know. Come on, let's get talking. Now, if in the event that you get down to your 6 cups of liquid and you taste it and it's still not done, it's not even al dente, it's just inedible, just get more stock. Go ahead and add more stock, and you'll be fine. You'll recover. You know, pretty much almost every dish there's a curveball, no matter how many times you make it, because there's so many moving pieces to this. So the more you make the same thing, the more you can adapt to those curveballs. All right. So where's everybody from? Anybody say where they're from? Mineola. Orlando, all right.
Roseville, California.
Cali, all right.
Wellington, Florida.
Nice.
Vermont, Florida.
A lot of Floridians in the house.
Hilton Head.
Hilton Head, all right.
Miami.
Miami, all right. So we got a bunch of people from Florida and someone from California.
Tuliola, Florida.
All right.
Charleston.
Oh, we got a nice show tonight, huh? Is anybody making this? If you're making it, go ahead and comment. I know you're probably busy stirring, but if you are making it, let me know.
Questions?
Sure.
Is chicken broth from a box?
Yes, it is. I mean, you can make your own. I have. It's just not necessary. It's just off the shelf stuff. Swanson's chicken stock.
And how long will this keep in the fridge for leftovers?
Oh, I don't know, because it really doesn't last long once it hits the fridge. But it's at least 3 or 4 days, at least. I might have had it after that, but it doesn't go bad fast, if that's what you're asking. I mean, everything's fully cooked. This pancetta is, I mean, it's cured before you even put it in here. So it's already going to last a long time before this even happens.
Lake Wiley, South Carolina.
Lake Wiley, all right. Getting there. So you're watching a live video of me making Emilia's risotto with the truffle cream sauce. And unlike the shows that you see on TV, nothing is pre-cooked. There is no cuts to commercials. And this part of the process would normally be cut out. But I think it's really neat to watch the whole thing from start to finish, especially if you're trying to learn how to cook. So there you go, it's absorbed. Take a look at the chef's coat. Oh yeah. Thanks. I just got that done. It's official now. Official. I do have some Guys Home Kitchen hats that are just, I'm taking pre-orders on. If you'd like that, go ahead and message me through Facebook that you're interested in one of those, and I'll add you to the list. So as I told you earlier, I mean, each one I'm adding now just is taking much longer to cook, because I mean this is still kind of soupy. We definitely need it a lot creamier than that. And I mentioned earlier, next week, same time, Sunday, 6 p.m., I'm making spaghetti carbonara. Just like 4 or 5 really simple ingredients, but the process is critical. And when we were in Italy, I ordered it, and oh my God, it was phenomenal. I fell in love with it because I never had something so good like that before. And the reason I haven't had anything like so good like that before here is because restaurants, especially here, will add cream to the spaghetti carbonara. And the reason they add cream is because it's a dish that you really need to serve as soon as it's done, because it's got, you know, the egg yolks in there that's forming the sauce, and cream allows it to last longer. So if they add cream, it could sit up on the under the hot plate for a second, and make it last a little while. But it changes the flavor. It's not even close to being the same. Good. Okay, time for some more. Our arm's getting a workout tonight. All right. When you make risotto, and you get to this stage, it gives you an opportunity to take another sip of wine.
How much chicken broth did you start off with?
6 cups. 6 cups of chicken broth or stock.
Pino Walker's husband was going to make this for her.
What's that?
Gina Walker
Okay.
said her husband's going to make this for her.
All right.
Learning.
Very special. Very special night. He's going to make this. As you can see, it's not easy, but it's so good. It actually is easy. It's just a process. That's all it is. It's just time intensive. I make this personally for myself and the family once or twice a year just because of how time intensive it is, but man, do I love it. Okay, well, at this stage, I'm actually going to taste it right now. Hot. Almost there. Almost there. So when you reach this stage, Gina, tell your husband, don't give up. It will come together. You know, when I just tasted that, it did not need any salt yet. So I doubt we're going to add any salt here. Especially because of the Parmigiano Reggiano is salty. And we still have to add the prosciutto. Which I'm adding the prosciutto into here towards the end. because I don't want to. I want it to kind of hold its integrity a little bit and not crisp up like a bacon. So I'm gonna add this last bit of liquid here. By that time they'll be done. Also going to quickly, I should have done this before, I'm going to quickly chop up some prosciutto. You know, so this is why you got to do all your prep before you actually get to the stage, because you can't be going back and forth real fast. But here we go.
Will you be posting this recipe?
Yes, I will. And in fact, the recipe is in the description of the event, but I will post the recipe for this live video on the feed there, for sure.
Is there anything to be more aware of using electric instead of gas?
No, actually, it's all the same as far as, it produces heat. You just gotta work, it just works differently. So if you've been cooking on electric, then you kind of got a feel for how that cooks. We actually had electric here. We put this in about 5 years ago. So it definitely cooks a little different in terms of the settings and all that stuff. So if I say medium, you may need medium high. Electric, it's like a boat. So when you do start it, it takes a little bit longer to heat up. It's not as fast as gas, but it's not going to, if you got a feel for your electric, it's not going to change the outcome. Okay, so I just added the prosciutto at this stage. I'm going to continue mixing this. Now I had a warm chicken stock, so I hope this is done after this. It should be. Didn't need much more after this. Let's go ahead and taste it now. Close. By the time this liquid is absorbed, it'll be good. Oh man, so good. So saucy. Go ahead and give me a like or a heart if you guys are liking what you're watching so far. If you're learning something, enjoying it, all that stuff. Oh yeah, well, by the show, no. But I will be having it with this dish. So, you might have heard the phrase before, cook with wine that you will drink. It is true. What you put into a dish is what you get out of it. If you put some really crappy ingredients in, you can't make a lesser quality under, you can't turn a bad quality ingredient into something that tastes really good. It just doesn't work that way. If you want something to be phenomenal, you got to start with phenomenal ingredients, including the wine. So don't cheap out on that. Us? Oh, we are from Orlando, Florida. And we've been here for a while now, originally from Long Island. Got any New Yorkers in the house? Okay, this is coming along nicely. You guys see how it's starting to thicken up? All that starch is coming out. So because this is the last one, I'm going to cook this a little bit longer than I cooked the other ones, because I really want all that liquid gone. And as soon as it's done, I'm going to turn off the flame, and we're going to stir in the Mascarpone cheese and stir in the Parmigiano Reggiano, which I grated about 3 ounces of. I may not use all of it, we'll see. Get a feel for it. I know that may drive some people nuts without being precise ingredients and all that stuff, but once you start cooking, you'll see why. Because sometimes, for whatever reason, you always want a little bit less or more or something. But if you like cheese, go ahead and add double. I mean, you could put 6 ounces of cheese in here if you want. It'd be very cheesy, but go ahead and do that. I'm just adding enough for flavor. Okay, this is starting to come together.
How many servings does this
This is a good 4 serving size right here, 1.5 cups. I mean, sometimes I usually make like 2 cups of rice, and we have tons of leftover after that. And you know, risotto is a very filling dish, so you know what may not look like a lot on the plate, all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm full. Okay, you guys see that creaminess now? Let's give it another taste. Make sure it's done. I would say that's al dente. So al dente, in case if anybody's wondering, is when rice or pasta is still firm but not raw. So if you've ever been into pasta and it's still white-ish in the center, that's raw. But if you bit in, it has a bite to it, but the white is gone, that's al dente. And then overcooked really is when you bite into it and you just go right through, really, really soft. That's you've gone too far. Unfortunately, you can't undo that. But I'm going to turn off the heat right now. And we're going to finish this risotto with cheese.
Do you serve this with any sides?
Nope, traditionally don't. You can. I mean, if you want sides, you can. If you want vegetables, I suggest you just, in the beginning when we were making, this is mascarpone, I'm going to use about, what is this, 8 ounces, so about 4 ounces. It's about half a cup. And then I have 3 ounces of Parmigiano Reggiano. Just gonna go in right here. So I'm gonna do that for now, and I'm gonna taste it, see how I like it. I'm also gonna add just a couple of cracks of pepper. I don't want too much because of the color, but it definitely needs some pepper. So the pan's off, flame is off, and the heat that this has right now is going to melt all this just fine. You don't need to keep the heat on. Look at that. Oh, that is some good looking stuff right there. Okay. Now, if you're not making a sauce, which you don't need to, I mean, this is already rich, you're pretty much done. It's just a matter of plating, adding some of the crispy prosciutto, pancetta back in, and garnishing with a little more prosciutto. But that is some nice looking creamy risotto. Let's do one more taste test. Yeah, let me add the rest. And I'm going to add a pinch of salt because it needs it. So always salt to taste. Salt really is kind of the medium that allows your tongue to truly taste the flavor, whatever it is you're cooking. Without it, things are bland and less flavor. The same exact thing with just a pinch of salt makes all the world's difference. So just like chocolate, if you ever had chocolate but then sprinkle some kosher salt or sea salt on top right before you eat that piece of chocolate, that chocolate just explodes with flavor in your mouth. Like you've never experienced chocolate like that before, and that's all because of the salt. It just acts as a medium of getting the flavors to your taste buds. All right, that is done so far. We are going to now start the sauce. So I'm gonna get this on a medium heat. Okay. Oh shoot, I forgot to take butter out. Oop, so I'm just gonna add a little bit butter, not much. Put that in there. And And then we are going to take, remember that shallot I asked you to hold? The shallot, leave it half, and a piece of whole garlic. We're going to add this to the butter just to bring this flavor into the butter. But we're going to remove it because I don't want it as part of the sauce, like chunky sauce. I want a smooth sauce. I'm also just looking to lightly melt the butter. I don't really want to brown it. Okay. So, right after this gets incorporated a little bit, we're going to add some heavy cream. I'll tell you what, guys, the difference between good and amazing is the sauce. I don't care what you're eating. If you ever look at some really nice presentations, I know you're drawn to the bright colors, but pay attention to what you're actually looking at. You're looking at sauces. And when you take anything and you have a sauce, it, kind of like salt, it just enhances everything. It changes and brings the flavor profile to a whole new level. Okay. Excuse me. So while that's there, we're going to add the cream. This is heavy cream. And probably that much. So we're going to warm up the cream. Actually, I'm going to raise the heat a little bit because I want to thicken the cream. This recipe also calls for an egg yolk. And the reason we're using the egg yolk is because it's going to act as the binder for the sauce. But you got to be careful because it's an egg yolk, and if you do it wrong, you end up with scrambled eggs. Kind of like next week when we do the spaghetti carbonara. I mean, the main thing for the sauce is the what's in here? The main part of the sauce is egg yolk, and you gotta just be careful. But I'll show you how to do that. So this is our truffle oil that we picked up from the Chianti Classico region of Italy. Nice little guy there. His famous line is he speaks Chianti. I guess I should have opened this before we started the program. Note to self. Alright, this got to get in because that's getting foamy. Alright, so we're going to add some truffle oil. Truffle oil is very strong. It's an intense flavor, so you don't need a lot. Probably the equivalent of a tablespoon. If you don't like truffle, don't use it. You're not going to offend anybody. But the truffle, the essence of truffle in here really changes the dynamic of this dish. And truffle is very common, very widely available in this region. And Tuscany too. There's black truffle and there's white truffle. Black is more common, but white truffle is actually better tasting, more depth of flavor. I believe this is white truffle. No, it doesn't say. Alright, so now we're getting this sauce thickened a little bit with this cream. Okay, I'm going to take the garlic and shallot out. I'm going to turn off the heat because I don't want to cook that out. And I'm going to temper the yolk. So egg yolks cook, at about 180, 90 degrees Celsius is when they start to really turn into eggs. So this was just boiling, so it was 212, so we're going to let this cool a little bit. And the way you temper this is we take just a little bit of this and add it to this. And then we take a little bit more and add it to this, and a little bit more and add it to this. And then we'll just dump it in near the rest. And then this will create the binder. And then once it's in here, we'll turn the flame on low until it gets to the right consistency and stop. Okay? And our risotto is getting, look how thick this is now. Look at that. It's It's really good. Can't wait to eat that. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? I ain't had salt yet, so need some salt in here. Kosher salt I use. It's my personal preference. There's a lot of salts available. Kosher is kind of a good all around. Just don't use table salt. That's the worst kind of salt you could use. Okay. Now, incorporate this in here. I want to cook the egg yolk. If you cook the egg yolk, start over, or just skip it. You definitely don't want to cook the egg yolk. Okay. So what we're doing right now is slowly bringing this egg yolk up to temperature without cooking it. It's at a pretty good consistency right there, so I'm going to add it in and do it fast. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this back on low. Keep stirring until we get a nice thick sauce. See how that's kind of emulsifying? And all of a sudden that oil and butter and cream that was all in there is now together as one. And I would say this is good. Okay. Now, basically done, so we gotta get ready to plate. So what I'm gonna do is get this cleaned up. And that pancetta that we took out that was crispy, first we're going to use that. This is where this all comes together, folks. Now, if you're at home and you're seeing this for yourself, you don't have to go crazy like this, but I just want to show you how to properly present this dish. If you're trying to show off, you know, somebody, if Gina's husband's listening, you know, you should probably take this step. And basically just chop it up almost like it's bacon bits. Okay, so save that for garnish. And then we'll get our clean plate. Can you see this plate okay? Yes. We will get our risotto. So what I like to do, let me get this stuff out of the way, hold on. What I like to do, depending upon the consistency of how your risotto came out, because sometimes it comes out thicker than this, or more watery, but that's fine. I like to just put a nice big spoonful in the middle. Okay. Just like that. Then I'll take a spoon, form it to a nice ball. So if you're in an Italian restaurant right now, this dish as it looks right now is $20. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how to get it to $25. Remember that sauce we made? Let's get that sauce. Man, I should have planned better. And we'll get our spoon. What we're going to do you know what? I want a big spoon. So we're going to take this and drizzle it right around the side like that. Look at that. Is that beautiful or what? I'm not done yet. Next, we're going to take our bacon bits, sprinkle those in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just like that. And we got some chives. So I'll sprinkle some green on here. Okay. We'll put this flour right in the center. Okay. And now that's $25. Okay. Now to make it $30, we're going to take some. These are beads of balsamic vinegar. We will place them into here. Let me do it this way so you can see. Place them into the spots that need it. Oh, shit. Just like that. We're done. There you have it, folks. Emilia's risotto with truffle cream sauce. And I want to thank you guys for, to taste test. I do want to thank you guys. But I got a very special guest to try this. Come on, Vito, come on. I got my official taste tester here. I think we got to go here. Okay. So, why don't you introduce yourself real fast?
My name is Vito.
Vito? Okay. So, first, why don't you tell everybody what you see?
That's really good.
Is it pretty? Very pretty, right? Okay, now go ahead and taste it. Taste it without the truffle sauce first.
About this?
Without that, yes. Good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now take a little bit with the sauce.
Like here?
Better? Oh,
10
yeah.
times better.
10 times better, right? See? It's all about the sauce. And now that's saucy, baby. Now that's saucy. All right, I want to thank you guys for sticking around. And for next time, stay saucy. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. See you later.